Hello, welcome to the Bald and Beardiful. On this episode, Bryce comes out of the closet. Oh wait, we already did that episode.
You're so funny.
uh, welcome to the Bald and Beardiful, episode 16, week 19. Sinners and winners. I'm Chris.
I'm Bryce.
I'm Bald.
And he's a liar. you only wish I was gay. And I don't know why. Technically, we're half-blood, so I don't know what you're thinking is there. But
I'm just tired of trying to convince people otherwise.
that trying to convince them that I'm straight.
Yes. Glad you're following
I'm
along
pretty
there, big guy.
sure. I'm pretty sure. Well, it's surprising to me just because there's records in your area that prove so.
Arrest records?
Sure. I mean, I guess that's technically on paper. So yeah, why not, right?
So that's why you're not allowed within 300 feet of a school?
It's still not gay.
Wow. Wow. Enough of that. Let's move on.
Yeah, you didn't expect it to go that far, did you?
Wow.
Anyway.
All right. Week 18. Playoffs. Wild card round. Yes.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed watching the games, as the title suggests. Some of us didn't.
I mean, I can say, I have no real skin in the game, right? Like,
well, no. I mean, if you were actually in the game, you would leave a lot of skin in that game, no doubt.
Maybe not. You can't hit what you can't touch.
Were you going to be the punter then?
Yes.
Yeah.
I will totally take a puncher salary.
But
100%.
Yeah, no kidding, right? So the only way you're not getting touched on the field is if it's literally a rule not to touch you on the field.
Fair enough.
Yeah, other than that, you're getting smashed into the grass or artificial turf.
Yeah. All right. So, winners, losers, criers, flyers. Hey, okay. So missed opportunity, but I just want to say I was, you see those images on Facebook marked safe from. We're all marked safe from hearing "Fly Eagles Fly."
Yeah. We're also all safe from Brady got another ring.
True. Let's start from the top. Overtime.
Well, actually, real quick, it's too bad we didn't do our favorite meme, just because my favorite one after this week was. Did you see that pie graph of the Titans?
What do you mean pie graph? No, I don't think I saw a pie graph.
So there's a pie graph, and it was a representation of who's happy the Titans won.
Oh,
and there was like a 2% sliver of Titans fans, and then the rest of it was people that didn't want the Patriots to win. That's what it said. It's so funny.
sounds about right.
All right. So start from the top. Houston versus the Bills. I honestly thought the Bills would have done better. They did pretty well overall. I mean, every game I think this week was very well played.
For the most part, yeah, it was competitive. It was fun. I really expected more out of Houston. I think they're in big trouble this next week, which we'll get into a little bit more if they play like that. The Bills really brought it. They left it all out on the field. There's no shame in that loss at all. Like, it really could have gone either way.
Well, in all honesty, they left it in the first half. Is really what it is. Bills were 13-0 at halftime. Then all they do is score a field goal in each quarter afterwards, and Texans came back with 19 points in the final half, and then we're lucky enough to tie it up to go to overtime, and then have the field goal in overtime to win that game.
I mean, especially I say this all the time. Like teams too often play not to lose and end up losing the game instead of just keeping their foot on the gas, keep putting points on the board. There's got to be clock management too, and I understand that. By all means, I understand that.
Yeah, I mean, I understand the play of get the first down. Like, that's really what it should be if you're going to play in that aspect, in my opinion, is always be trying to get to at least get the first down. Yeah, you don't need to do big plays and potentially hurt your players for the next week, because in the playoffs, you definitely don't want that to happen. That's the only reason why I can understand the slow playing. But if you're not getting first downs, then you can not having control of the ball. You're not taking more time off the clock, and you're just giving them more time to score.
Pretty much. But either way, Houston advances. Uh, Buffalo still without a ring.
Yeah. Well, actually, did you see that they haven't had a playoff victory since like 99 or 95?
Since '95, they went to the Super Bowl against the Cowboys and lost.
Yeah.
They lost. They went to back-to-back Super Bowls and lost.
Yeah, I remember that. But I don't know when the last time they were in the playoffs were. I think it's been a little bit. I would have thought they would have done a little better, but they didn't lose to a bad team. Texans, good defense. Should we move on to the next one?
Yep, Tennessee at New England.
Good game. Not an overtime game. Very again, everyone was cheering, especially first quarter 7-3. Second quarter, Patriots got the lead with well, no, they didn't. Second quarter at halftime it was 14-13. So still a very close game. Then Titans were lucky enough, or not lucky enough, talented enough to not let the Patriots score for the rest of the game.
This is basically the Derrick Henry show.
Yeah, he's a second half the season kind of player.
He beasted it out. Really, like he ran all over the number one defense in football that had given up very little as far as when it comes to running backs. I liked there was plenty of images all over the internet of like the highlight of Ryan Tannehill's game, and it was him handing the ball off.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he had 34 carries, 182 yards, but only one of the touchdowns was his.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
New England just never really got any sort of momentum. They were kind of sort of there, but not really. It was interesting to see that. They pressured Brady a lot. They did what Tennessee had a good game plan. They had, you could tell they had a game plan. They came in, they executed it, and
Mm-hmm.
then they officially ended the dynasty that is New England.
They did, and happy to not see them go to the Super Bowl for a third time. It's like this. Honestly, it was starting to remind me of the 2000s seasons. I don't remember which years it was. It was like 06, 07, 08. I don't know, somewhere around that time where they went and won 3 times in a row.
Oh, yeah, they were just always in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
However, what was it? 06 Super Bowl was the one that they lost to the Giants, right? Or something that it's in that time when they constantly went, they lost to the Giants, and they lost here in Phoenix actually.
Oh, I don't know that one.
During that time, I won some money off of that actually. I put my money on the Giants. The Giants had the best defense in football that year. That they were here in Phoenix anyway, and yeah, I basically put my money on the Giants defense essentially.
You've been betting for a long time, haven't you?
I mean, I was already 21 at the time, so yeah, legal in the state of Nevada where I placed my wager.
Actually, I think I was spot on with that 6, 7, and 8 with the consecutive year. No, wait, no, I'm looking at the wrong thing. This is like all Super Bowls. Never mind.
All right, moving on. It doesn't matter. No New England. Thank God we get to see, or thank whatever God you want to thank. It doesn't matter. We get to see hopefully some new blood in the Super Bowl. Looking at Minnesota at New Orleans, like once again, New Orleans got screwed. I mean, they had every opportunity to win this game themselves. In addition to without the refs, but once again, it's comical at this point.
I mean, at least they didn't get all the way to the division decider to lose it.
True, lose now and just be done, right?
Right.
Start your vacation early. I know people say like, oh, it barely caused separation or whatever nonsense they're trying to show, like so that people don't to try and keep people from criticizing the refs as much as they should. He snapped the defender's head back when he pushed him. You can
I
see
did.
it in the replay.
I didn't see which play you're talking about.
So the last play
Unfortunately,
of the game for Minnesota and New Orleans, overtime.
right,
Um, New Orleans didn't get the ball because it ended in overtime because Minnesota scored a touchdown.
right.
But had that been a penalty, had the appropriate penalty been called, it pushed them back. I'm not saying they wouldn't still score, but it's more likely that New Orleans holds Minnesota to a field goal and then gets the ball, right? Also, not saying that they win. I'm not saying that they win based on that, right? But you like, especially since all plays are under review, there is no challenge. Like they need to they need consistency. It's they call all these nitpicky nonsense penalties throughout the game, but then when like throughout regular season, throughout the regular part of regulation part of play, right? Uh, and then this one they're just like, nah, whatever. Like they do it at the end. They're like, time to go home, whatever, right? No, like be consistent. Like if you're gonna call nitpicky penalties all game, you've got to call that. You've got to review it as a scoring play. Has to be reviewed in its entirety, especially since now coaches can challenge for penalties, so that has to be part of the review process.
I mean, if being that it was a scoring play, the whole play had to be reviewed, and still no one called it. I mean, I don't know if coaches have the ability to look at the replays like the rest do. I honestly doubt it. But
They have their own like film. They have their own
so
film that
like
they use.
even but the guy it happened to could have said something.
Well, you couldn't challenge. It's in overtime. All reviews are up in the booth.
Mm.
So he couldn't have challenged it anyway. But that's what I'm saying. Like there's been a rule change, which means that it needs to be accounted for, right? If you include coaches challenges that can challenge for no calls of penalties, for calls of penalties, that has to be a part of the whole review of the score. Was there a penalty committed? Yes or no? Then they later came back and were like, well, there wasn't a significant enough contact. I'm like, that's nonsense. A few of the broadcasters that were watching the highlights said it like that was significant enough. It's plain as day. You can see him. He puts his hand. This dude. So, and also you have a big discrepancy in size, right? The tight end is like 6'5", like 6'5", 250 pounds, whatever. And he's not 250 pounds. He's actually lighter than that, but he's a big dude, right? The defender is like maybe he's like maybe 6 foot. He's probably like 6 foot 190, right? Something to that effect. He puts his whole big mitt on his chest plate and extends the arm completely. And you can see it. His head snaps back as he's trying to drive forward, and he's driving him back, and he makes the catch. How is that not significant enough contact, and how does that not make a significant enough impact on whether or not he was going to catch the ball? I'm not saying that the defender is going to out jump this 6'5" guy, but a penalty is a penalty. It's the rule. He can't push off. He can't put his hand on the defender in order to create space. That's it. End of story. That's
Um,
exactly what happened.
I might have to relook at that play. I think I remember seeing it, and I want to say that on that last play, I might have saw something that I would have questioned as a penalty, but I don't even think it was on the Vikings. I think I would
So,
have said it was
but
on
is it based
Saints.
on where they were at, as far as what yard on the field and the penalty that would have been incurred because it's offensive PI, right? That puts them more in that more likely because I think it happened on second or third down, something like that. So let's say it happened on second down. It's a replay of down, right? But now they're not necessarily in touchdown scoring range. They're more in that field goal range, right? Instead, opportunity. I think ultimately New Orleans could have potentially held them to a field goal and then gotten an opportunity with the ball. I almost think they need to get rid of not get rid of, but they change the overtime rules, right? Change of like college, right? Each team needs to get a shot with the ball. None of this like, and then you can avoid this, right? Because then, yeah, it's a questionable call. Fine, they let it stand. Put it in the hands of the other team to go down and score, right?
But as soon as they give it back, then it's
Then it's over, right? They don't score, it's over.
right.
I think that's a better rule. But anyway,
Yeah, it's again, yeah, up for debate, but not right now.
all right. Last, the bye week play. Seattle's at
Um,
Philly.
I don't even want to call it the bye week play. I want to call it the what is I don't know how to pronounce not pronounce. I don't know how to say this in a cool way, but it was basically how many times can we sack Carson Wentz? That was the game. Like they weren't playing football. They were trying to find out how many times they could indeed just sack the quarterback.
Yeah,
Like they had at least 5. I think I stopped counting, but I think it was at least 5.
they had quite a few. They also knocked Carson Wentz out of the game in the first quarter.
Did they really?
Yeah, he went out with a concussion.
I didn't even notice.
Well, Josh
There,
McCown is like
yeah.
20 years older than.
Well, he still got laid out the same.
Oh, it's
Like,
true, but it was Josh McCown. I really expected Seattle to score more points in this game, but ultimately the end is the end. They didn't have to put a whole lot of effort into being able to win this game. Um, but I think Seattle has a long road ahead of them,
yeah,
regardless.
I'm looking at a couple of random stats, and the one I find most interesting is that Seattle had less first downs than Philly did by
Yeah, but that's also like
by 4. But
yeah, but
it was just an interesting thought. Like they scored more, they had less first downs, just means that they took less time to get or less attempts to get down the field.
yeah, big chunk plays.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into the divisional week.
Yes. What's gonna happen next week?
It's going to happen next week. There's going to be some football. There's going to be winners and losers. There may or may not be cheerleaders, and the rest will still suck.
Do you think there'll be a lot of overtimes like last week? That was another thing that was pretty interesting. Was like mostly you don't see a lot of overtimes in like week to week. Like maybe one, but I mean statistically, you're still looking at less than 20% of the games played end up in overtime. Last week you had 50.
Yeah, true. I mean, you only had 4 games, but it just goes to
Exactly.
show that
Well,
they're
it just
closely
means that
matched.
yeah, they were very closely matched. But like with only 4 teams, the odds of even one going into overtime was less.
True.
I found that interesting. All right,
All right,
but next
let's
let's go
take a
to
look. Take a look at next week. You want to? I started last time. You want to start? You want to start NFC or AFC?
let's do. I'm thinking NFC just
Okay.
because we got to talk about Baltimore last since I think they're the favorite. So San Francisco versus Minnesota. That's going to be a good game. San Francisco has been doing very well. I believe they're at home.
Yep.
They have to be
They're
because
the number one seed.
yeah, like that was a stupid comment. I caught it though. Um, on the travel, technically a little bit warmer weather, possibly not playing in the snow. I didn't check the weather report. Um, but Minnesota, I mean, they have a chance, but I think San Francisco is going to take it. Like I think they have a lot more, at least offensive power. I'm not quite sure on their defensive power.
Uh, I, I think once again it comes down to can you stop Dalvin Cook, um, and then mitigate mistakes, right? Like New Orleans had some penalties that really hurt them, that really kept Minnesota in the game. They struggled for this. They did. I wouldn't say they struggled too much, but it seemed like they were struggling to stop Dalvin Cook. So I think that's gonna be the name of the game. Stop the run. Stop Dalvin Cook. Put it in Kirk Cousins' hands and pressure him. Make him throw, but make sure that you're in his face. I think they can. I think they can do it. I think they take this one. I think it even has the possibility to be a one-sided game. Really.
Yeah, it definitely has the potential to be, but like I said, in the playoffs, you never know.
True. You never know. That would be a hey, you know what? That'd be a nice upset. Really, like it would be, especially with it being San Francisco getting knocked out of the playoffs, a one and done. We won't have to hear Pete talk about them going to the divisional championship.
Right.
All right, Seattle at Green Bay.
What are your thoughts?
Green Bay is surging. Green Bay looked real good towards the end of the season. I don't know where they came from or how they managed to end up as the second seed. I think Seattle has a real rough game on their hands going into Lambeau. Uh, if they play like they played against Philly, I don't think they win that game. I think they definitely need to rise above that level of play. Um, they need to
Um,
hit Aaron Rodgers a lot. They don't let him run. Don't let him get outside the pocket. He does this thing where he escapes the pocket and throws from the edge, and he's lethal from there.
Honestly, at this point, I'm kind of leaning towards every home game. Just by looking at this, I think each division leader um, earned the right to be there, and especially, I mean, having the home field advantage does mean something. But even besides that, San Francisco was 9-0. Baltimore has won the last 9 games. Kansas City, I mean, Mahomes has 3 different receivers he can throw to and has decent running backs. Yeah, Green Bay, I mean, Rodgers, I mean, you give Rodgers 10 seconds and 100 yards to go, he'll get there.
True. Very true. So I think so. Are we both on San Francisco in the Minnesota San Francisco game? San Francisco at home.
Yeah, San Francisco home, and I'll still go Green Bay, especially against Seattle.
I'm gonna take Seattle in this one. Even though I think it's a hard game. I think they have the tools to do it. DK Metcalf has really been stepping up late in the season. Um,
Not to mention Lynch.
well, man, I mean, he did have that. He did
Yeah,
have
all
that
I'm
one
saying
good
is he
run.
stepped up in the last part of the season. That's all I'm saying.
Um,
He joined the team in the last part of the season. That's all I'm saying.
so I'm gonna take Seattle in the upset in that one.
All right, let's move it along. Let's get to the AFC. Which one do you want to start with?
We could go. We can do Baltimore, Tennessee last since since Baltimore is the Vegas
Favorite.
favorite overall.
Yep. All right. Kansas City and Houston. Houston's got the defense, but again, they had a very slow start at the beginning of the Buffalo game, and Kansas City's a little better than Buffalo, in my opinion. So I think they're going to have a rough game ahead of them.
I think this is a bit of a coin flip, Eh, more so than any of the other, more so than the other games, right? Um, and that's what it is. I think they're very similarly, um, they're very similarly like talented teams set up. Um, running back wise, very similar. So like you kind of take them off, and they're very even. I'm actually surprised that the spread is -9.5. I think that's a little large, especially since San Francisco is only favored by 6.5. I think it's a little large for this particular game, but I feel it's more of a coin flip, more so than like Seattle and Green Bay, because I think the reason why we don't have spreads on that is because I think they're PK. I think they're even. Um,
So if you had to choose, which one are you going with?
I'm actually just gonna flip a coin, literally, as we
All right.
speak. Ready?
Well,
So what are we saying? Heads because the Houston logo is a head, tails because it's just the opposite.
all right. Because the Kansas City Chiefs looks like it. Never mind. I don't know if I can say that on the air.
All right, tails it is. So I guess I'm going with Casey.
Yeah, not a bad choice. All right, let's finish this up so we can get to our last segment. Baltimore versus Tennessee. Tennessee coming out the gate with a pretty good run, or pretty big running back as far as Henry goes. Baltimore, though, they're a force to be reckoned with. They're great on defense. They're great on offense. like you said, they are the favorite. And again, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised overall looking at another Baltimore San Francisco rematch, which would be a lot of fun, especially if Baltimore won again. But
Yeah,
yeah, I'm still going Baltimore.
I'm going Baltimore on this one too. Like I think Lamar Jackson is the X factor. He is a cheat code in the game that is football. Like he can pass downfield. He can make plays with his legs. Like he's just um, he. I think he adds an element that Tennessee is just not prepared to or has the tools to be able to uh, take on. I ultimately think the Tennessee's victory over New England is essentially their Super Bowl.
Yeah,
uh, from there,
but wouldn't that be an upset?
that would be a pretty huge upset if that did happen. Um, but I said I don't think Derrick Henry is going to be able to carry the entire team 2 games in a row.
No, but honestly, if Tennessee does get past Baltimore, I'm rooting Tennessee all the way. Like I will definitely root because I that is the I think Tennessee at this point is the underdog of them all. In my own view.
Oh yeah, for sure. Definitely. Even though Minnesota was a 6 seed, they were a 6 seed in a wonky setup. I don't feel like they are a true 6 seed. It's just based on because Philly won their division, really. Like, I think they're more of a 4 seed, but because Philly won their division, that's the only reason that they're a 4 seed. Um, in that, I would have liked to have seen the flip. I would have liked to have seen Tennessee go up against KC first, and then Houston against Baltimore, because I think I would rather see either I would rather see Baltimore, who is favored, right, play either KC or Tennessee in the divisional, or not in the AFC Championship, right? I think
Right.
that's more entertaining. I think that's better. That would be a better kind of setup, in my opinion, from there. But everybody loves an underdog story.
Yeah. All right. So quick wrap up. I'm going all the home teams: San Francisco, Green Bay, Kansas City, Baltimore. You are going San Francisco, Seahawks, Kansas City, Baltimore. So hopefully, or I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a fun weekend. You anything else to add on here?
No, I think that's gonna do it
For football.
for the football.
So this is a new introduction of, we're going to call it story time, and this is going to be our very first conversation not about football. What do you think about that, Chris?
I mean, I'm pretty sure we've had other conversations that weren't about football on here.
It's been iffy. It's always been somewhat football related.
All right, so this is the one that's intended to be not
Not about,
football related.
yeah, because this is literally the beginning, the actual beginning of our decade. And at least from my point of view, I mean, overall, just looking back at it, it was technically a terrible day, but it didn't feel like it at the time just because I was still enjoying it. At least on my part, it started with a hangover from the night before, which it was January 1st. So this is the first day of the new year, of the new decade. Started off with a small hangover from the night before. So starting off on a strong point. Then between you and I, there was a bit of confusion because the plan was you were going to come down and pick me up from your small vacation with the wife, which went well, I hope.
Yeah, it was a good time.
It was a good time.
Enjoyed the boot drop up in Prescott.
All right. Yeah, every city now drops their own little thing. I actually had a coworker of mine tell me about this city. They go to like a new city every New Year's and watch whatever they're dropping. One town, I think this last year was a mushroom. 1 year was a pickle. I don't. Who knows?
Pickle.
Yeah. Someone dropped the pickle. Uh, um, so that's how it started off with me. The plan was you come down, pick me up. There was confusion between you and I ended up just having to meet you at the casino where we were planning on playing poker, which is where things kind of went wrong. If the first part of went to plan, this whole thing would never have happened. But I'm kind of glad it did because it was very interesting. I know you were tired. I was tired, but it was still a lot of fun. Not at the time, but looking back at it, it was pretty fun. So Chris and I, we go to the casino. We're playing poker. We play in a tournament. Overall, not too bad. You obviously did better than I did. I ended up in like 20th, out of like 80, not 80, 58 people, and you ended in, I know what it is, but you want to say it?
Wait, say what?
What place you ended up in? When did you get
Oh,
knocked out?
I bubbled the final table in 11th. Funny enough, I ended up in 11th in the next tournament that I played.
Uh,
But at
so
least in that one, I got my money back.
See, I think I would have done better if I messed up one like crucial hand that cut my chips in half. But live and learn. So um overall didn't do too great at poker. I mean, not placing in the tournament is wasn't ideal. But we decided to head out a little early and go get some food. Being on the East Coast, there's not a lot of In and Out over here. I really wanted to go get some In and Out before my flight, which was the next morning at 7. So it's 11 o'clock. We finally end the poker at 11:30ish or so, and I have to go get my bags, which I checked at the bell check because I called in to see like, hey, can I check my bags if I'm not staying at the hotel? He goes, oh, they go like, oh yeah, absolutely. So apparently that's not a uncommon thing to happen. But what happened next apparently is a very rare thing to happen. I go back to get my bags, and all I have is one huge suitcase, which probably weighed about 50 pounds, and a backpack, which pretty identifiable. I mean, it's a black backpack, but it had, stuff hanging off of it, like a neck pillow for the plane, a large water bottle that, of course, had to be empty for the plane. But apparently, when I went to go get it, all they gave me back was a large backpack, or the large suitcase. And they look at the ticket and go, oh, you have two things. I'm like, yeah, where's my backpack? And it goes the process of, I'm going to shorten this as much as I can just because we're running low on time. It went from, it's not back here. Let me look again. I can't find it. Let me call the guy that checked you in. He doesn't know where it is. We're going to have to check the cameras. That part took an hour. So now it's about 12:30. So, and I'm like, what, you can't check the camera? No, we have to get someone who has authorization. Like, really? So now they have to call a head of security down here. We had 3 other people besides the bell check ask me if I'm staying in this hotel. I had to repeat myself 3 times. No, I'm not. At one point, Christy, you remember us being in sync?
Yeah, because I got tired of it on the fourth or fifth time. They're like, so what room are you guys staying at? We're not. We're not. What part of? We're not. And then they look of sheer panic on their faces right after that.
As much as I loved the fact that we synchronized in that one, the last one where the manager, or the manager on property or whatever, was looked at us and go, which room? And then the security go looked at her and went, they're not. And she goes, oh, never mind. Like we had said it so many times. And so finally they're watching the cameras, and apparently what had happened was my bags got put on a belt or got racked in with someone else's stuff and was taken up to their room. So they followed it from the back of the bellhop, because they have cameras everywhere, from the back of the bellhop to putting it on the conveyor belt to following it all the way over to the hotel side of the casino, following it up the elevator to the person's room and being put into the person's room. Now you might be asking, how did I have the big bag if they took it to someone's room? Well, apparently the guys noticed that one of them was in his bag, and I'm only gonna say this because I heard he was a giant douche. Was he limped his way carrying my giant bag to not even the front desk, just the closest bar on that floor, and just tossed it to him and said, hey, this isn't mine. And that guy brought it back down to the bellhop, which is how it ended up being there. So now I'm like, all right, so we know he brought out this one. We know the other one went in. You can obviously see on the cameras that it didn't come out. Let's go get my other bag. And that process took another 2.5 hours. Couldn't tell you why. I have no idea why. I honestly think it's because I didn't leave a tip at the beginning of the bellhop when I was going to do it after. I honestly think that was why. He was like, you know what? Screw this guy. So it got to the point where they went up once, knocked on the door. Apparently, they were not too happy at being, having someone knock on the door at 12:30 in the morning, which understandable. But when an employee comes up to your door and says, "Hey, there's a bag in your hotel that's not yours. Can we have it back?" And you go, "Screw off." When you've already had to take out a bag yourself earlier that day, you would think you'd just be like, "Oh, we must have missed one." No, no, I don't. Do you understand this logic, Chris, at all? Like,
No, it makes zero sense to me. I would not have actually like done anything with the bags. I would have called the front desk and made them deal with it.
you don't even need to touch it. Yeah, the hotel messed up. Sure, call down. I think the number's 0. And you go, "Hey, I have extra bags in here. Can you come get these out of my room?" Or whatever. But it takes 3 tries to get this bag out of the room, and by this time, it's the third time the cops are involved. They had to ask me permission to call the cops for some reason. I didn't understand that, but finally, there's like, "Yeah, here's the PD." Great. Go up, get my stuff, because they won't let me do it. So officer comes, knocks on the door. We hear on the radio, "We have the bag. We're coming down." Thank God I can go home. It's 3:30 in the morning. My flight's at 7. I'm like, I'm not going to bed. This isn't good. Like, I'm not going to sleep for an hour and then get up and go to the airport. Um, so Chris, being the amazing, lovely, beautiful older brother that he is, took my happy butt to the airport to send me back to Delaware. I'm sure he was quite excited for that part. The twist of all this being this mess of confusion was the night manager, lovely woman. She was a very polite, very understanding, and I liked her. I don't know about you, Chris, but I liked her. I thought she was very nice. She was getting help from not just us. I mean, not that we were giving her help, but this is a situation, but from other people in the hotel, and was kind enough to send us down to the gallery or to the restaurant area in the hotel and make us pay for our own food. there was That's not true. There was some confusion. I did end up paying for our own food at the beginning, but then when it was told to her, like, "Oh yeah, it was good, it was like this much," they go, "Wait, you paid?" They go, "Yeah, I paid." They go, "You weren't supposed to pay. Like, you didn't tell us that." "Well, I told the waitress that," and apparently the waitress was like, "No, I'm going to get money from these guys." So we had to go back. We had another adventure of them trying to comp our food for the inconvenience of keeping us there an extra 4 hours. And that was the beginning of 2020.
Yeah, it's kind of funny now. It really sucked then.
Oh yeah, all you wanted to do was go to sleep, and I felt the dirty eye coming from you. I'm like, this isn't my fault. Like,
It's kind of your fault. Well, that, and then because I got bored while waiting, and I decided to play poker, and then I had my pocket aces get cracked. That did not help my mood at all.
For those of you who aren't poker savvy, that means he had pocket aces and he still lost the hand.
Yep.
So I mean, yeah, it's the overall situation sucked. Yeah, at least you got to go back and play a little bit. I had to stay within earshot because every half hour I was like, "Any new news? Any new news? How hard is it to go up, knock on the door, say, 'Hey, you have an extra bag? Give it to me.'" Like, it's not hard. Like,
See,
apparently,
I totally would have gone with, I'd stay in earshot because I had to answer whether or not I was staying there every 15 minutes.
I mean, and honestly, like, and the worst part of it is I was getting frustrated just because I knew you were frustrated, and it was like, "Hey, can you just mail me this bag? I gotta go catch a flight." And as I texted you, I'm so happy that they did not have to mail me my bag, because I completely forgot that the keys to my car that were that are at a separate hotel back here in Philadelphia, where I had to park long term, were in that bag. So if they would have had to mail that to me, I would have had to get an Uber Lyft ride an hour home to get an Uber Lyft ride an hour back once I got my spare key to take my car home. Like, that would have been another mess that I just would have hated. So I'm glad I got the bag.
Did you ever blacklight it to see if there were any
No
new
one
fluids
went.
on there?
No one went in the bag. I definitely don't know if anyone went on the bag. Um, no, I did not give it a black light. Honestly think they shoved it somewhere in between, like their other luggage, and the other couple was just too busy with each other that they didn't go through their own stuff. I don't know. I honestly don't know what the problem was. Glad it's resolved. We're definitely way over time. I hope you guys enjoyed this story. I know I enjoyed living it.
All right. Until next time, take us
Find
out.
us, yeah, find us at the bald and beardiful at gmail.com, or definitely looking forward to your emails. You can find us at also the bald and beardiful on Facebook. Chris is putting together the Instagram at some point. Please like the video, share the video, subscribe to the video, all the good stuffs, and it's just so people know that we exist and listen to us. We think we're funny. We know you do for listening, and we hope they will too. Yeah, anything else to add, Chris?
Nope, that's good.
Happy New Year, Happy New Decade, all that other fun stuff. All right. Peace out, guys.
See you next time.